Wouldn't it be great sometimes when you're due to have a consultation with a clinician or a therapist at the local hospital that you could do it from the comfort of your own home? Well, that's exactly what your NHS can now offer you in complete safety and security.
Virtual consultations are something that in some ways we've been doing for a long time, where we've followed people up by telephone. What has changed more recently is that we now have different technologies that let us do that. We've all got used to having Zoom calls with our families over the COVID pandemic, and actually we've used the same technology in a secure way to allow us to have not just telephone consultations with patients, but also video consultations. And that just gives us a whole range of different things that we can do and we can see and manage with patients than we would have been able to achieve just with a telephone. There are always going to be circumstances where people will need to come to hospital to have a face-to-face consultation with their consultant or whoever they're due to see. And that's because we have to listen to your chest or listen to your heart, or we have to put our hands on you and examine you, or you need to have some investigations. Those are never going to go away. But there are lots of occasions where actually we can do the bulk of what would have happened in a traditional face-to-face hospital appointment in a different way.
I was really surprised at how straightforward and slick the interface between me, the computer at the hospital, and the doctors and nurses was. And I've had, I think, 3 or 4 video consultations in the last few months. The login was not onerous at all. I didn't even need a password. I just need to remember who I was, and I think it was my birth date, but it was something fairly memorable. I was then put on hold, but I was actually only then put on hold until the consultation started, absolutely on time, with the whole relevant team there in one room.
It saves patients having to get to hospitals. It saves us having to have the stress of car parking, which in non-COVID times is horrendous. It saves car parking fees. It saves us having to wait in big areas. Again, we're saying COVID's going to be around a long time, so it saves us sitting in perhaps a vulnerable place. And I'm not the only vulnerable person with no immune system. All the other people are vulnerable, so that's really good news. So technology is easy, and I personally am quite happy talking to someone on the screen. It's I don't feel too removed from them. It feels a nice personal. In fact, it felt very personal.
There was me and 2 consultants and a midwife, and they had it all set out how it was going to work. So people weren't talking over each other or anything like that. We were all just listening when we should be and asking questions when we should be. So it was good.
This form of consultation is a huge advantage, because it's taken all the difficulty of driving, finding a parking space, going and waiting, and often appointments aren't, they never actually work exactly as the timing you expect, and sometimes you've got to wait for half an hour and so on and so forth. So it can be to go and do that
with a very wobbly wife sometimes.
with a very wobbly wife. Sometimes, but to do it sometimes, it can take up half a day. By the time you've got, her in the car, and we drive off through the traffic, and we get there and we find somewhere to park, and then we got to go and so on. This is instant.
This is
it's so much simpler. Press a button, there you are.
there are a few simple guidelines we can give you to help you and your NHS make the most of your virtual consultation, which can be on your phone, your tablet or your computer. Firstly, make sure you're in a private and quiet space. Join in plenty of time. Have any questions you want to ask prepared. And test your audio and video beforehand to make sure they're working.
Being able to see the person you're talking to is so much more helpful than just talking to them on the phone. And this has now spilled over into medical consultations. We're using a system called Attend Anywhere. Very simple, very straightforward, does need a little bit of practice, but I think it will make consultation so much easier and reduce travel time for people and enable them to actually form a relationship with the doctor or the nurse that they're speaking to.
Many outpatient services across Dorset are now offering video consultation via the Attend Anywhere platform.